What the fuck is that, Vinny Beedle?
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Scumbag Vinny. These folks right here have the biggest scam going. And even the guys I did take money from that were new in the game, I gave them experiences that they would never have gotten, man. And people did. Scumbag Vinny, bro.
And there was like 8 comics on the show, and they all sucked. And he got on stage, and he was like, "Vinny, did you just stop at a red light and say, hey, you want to open for Artie Lang tonight?"
Vinny Beedle's a good man, and we'll be back.
I used to go to concerts when I was a teenager, and I would sell fake tickets to events.
I've made it clear I have no problem that you scammed numerous people.
No. It's such an important part of my background.
If somebody's trying to get into comedy and somebody rips them off so bad that they have to quit comedy, you've done them a favor.
This movie needed Vinny Beedle to show up in like a stolen Ford Taurus. What up, it's Bam Margera. Go listen to the best podcast in the world, SCUMTOWN.
Vinny Beedle is who? Compton?
Oh yeah, Compton ass. We want a fresh piece of shit.
You're a bigger scumbag than Vinny Beedle. Yeah, man.
Vinny, I want you to take down the social account now, or I will have the legal authorities get involved with you.
Now that I found out that this whole thing was a scam, I kind of really like him.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Another week, another scam. Vinny Beedle, aka Scumbag Vinny.
We are back, Lane. What's poppin', dude? How was your week, bro?
Oh man, so busy. So much work.
I know we want to get
doing again.
I know we have all this small talk we always do, but today is a very, very big episode for us. I want to bring our guest in right away. Ladies and gentlemen, well, the Scamming with Vinny podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Slobby Robby, everybody from Slobby's World on Netflix. Slobby, welcome to the show, man.
Howdy, boys.
Slobby.
Lane, I am so pumped for this. So basically the background on this is I am letting everybody know now that I have officially grown from just scamming in the entertainment world. I'm now scamming in the resale business. And Slobby Robby is a legend in the resale business.
Oh, bro, my first graffiti name was Scumbum.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that right off the top, and you know,
we're
it wasn't
family.
for no reason. You know what I mean?
That means we're cousins.
Yes, correct.
Well, how this came about is, since COVID, we stopped the live entertainment, and I've been working a lot of flea markets, and I have a couple booths that I own. And I was working a market, and I met this older guy. He's about 75 years old, and he's been working this market for 30 years. And I posted a picture of him on my Instagram, and fans started tagging you in it, saying it looked like you.
Right. I fuck with that guy.
Yeah, and he does look like you. I don't know how you managed to look like a 75-year-old guy and still be so awesome, but you off pretty good.
Yeah, it's a caveman chic is what they call it, bro.
So Lane, I actually, weirdly enough, was a fan of Slobby Robby before I even got into resell. I watched his show on Netflix. Did you happen to catch it when it was airing on Netflix, or
no? I only discovered it after watching the YouTube clips after I found out he was coming on the show. But I also didn't get into reselling until during the pandemic myself. So
really?
Yes. Yeah, it's not like it was a hobby of mine before.
I see. Well, I watched Robbie's show, and basically what was so intriguing to me was that they do these flea markets at night. Where is it that you're from, Slobby?
Yeah, Tucson, Arizona.
I see.
Down the I-10 from Phoenix on your way into Texas. And very, very close to Mexico.
Oh, that's so sick. I definitely want to come out and check your store out. Maybe in Lane, you're in California, so I'm sure that'd be a nice trip for us to make and go see the store, because I believe the store is Corporation Cool. Am I correct about that?
Yes, that is us.
And you guys, now give us a little rundown so my audience knows what it is that you specialize in.
So I sell, basically my childhood, I sell 80s and 90s vintage. So I was born in 1980, which makes me 100% the supreme expert on both 80s and 90s culture, and because I was there for every single minute of both. And, everything from He-Man and G.I. Joe and Star Wars toys to Jordans and Ewings and Bo Jacksons and cool, athletic shoes to, of course, jerseys and vintage streetwear, Stussy 8 Ball.
That's sick.
Classics, right? We like
Yeah.
to say we don't deal with trends, we deal with classics.
Hell yeah. And sourcing is the most important part of this business. Am I right? Like, you being able to find the stuff from that generation, that era, is clutch to, how you run your business. Because I'm sure you don't deal with the boot. I mean, you do. I did see that you do deal with like some bootleg stuff and some fake stuff when it comes to like the high end, right? But it's more about
a bootleg, not as much fake or replica as much as old vintage bootleg or parking lot stuff. And I kind of introduced not only the vintage community but the world to that sort of genre of vintage.
That's sick.
But generally speaking, you got to have cool stuff to keep people intrigued. And this vintage industry has blown up and maybe even become oversaturated. But at the same time, much like anything, much like rap or DJing or graffiti or any aspect of this sort of, if you're really authentic and true self, you're always going to be there. So we don't, I sell the stuff that I've been wearing since high school, that I wore in high school, in middle school, and in elementary school. I never stopped.
Which is interesting because when you wore it then, you loved it, but you didn't know it was going to rise in value and that kind of thing, and that's what's sick.
Right, yeah. I mean, dude, I remember Champion jerseys. You guys have Ross, this discount store Ross, right?
Uh-huh.
So we Champion jerseys in the late 90s were at Ross. And then, all of a sudden in the late 90s, early 2000s, I got into eBay and I was buying, Champion jerseys and all these cool stuff off eBay for $10-15. That's now, $150 in my store. So I got into it as a collector, honestly, because I wanted a real cool shit. I wanted to be, to look good going all the way back to elementary school. But as an adult, once I started having money, of course, that was a priority for me. Some people gamble, some people like to go out and party. I'm all about
that was me. I was a gambler. Now that I'm into young 30s, you've inspired change the way I dress. So I'm, another thing is, and I'm sure Lane would like to know this as well, like what would be some advice you'd give like some new resellers on how to find the shit? Because, of course you could do the whole like thrift store thing, but it's like, sometimes do you just have to spend a boatload of money and get a ton of shit? Like that's what I do when I do resell. I just buy in bulk, and so
no, I would say not for us. When people come into the store and they say, well, where do you get all this stuff? The answer is like all over the world, everywhere, right?
Right.
So we take walk-ins every day. I have people coming in just bringing me vintage from their grandpa's garage or whatever, even if they thrifted it themselves and they want to resell it to us. So we do walk-ins every day. I buy off Instagram and Facebook every day.
Hell yeah. So if people listening have that vintage shit they want to sell, hit up Slobby Robby and give him a good deal. Like give it to him for nothing. That's a Scumbag Vinny request, is that, you guys do that for me, because hustlers gotta hustle, Rob, and a big thing for me that I noticed with you is you were very into like my whole Scumbag Vinny persona. You were, you understood it was comedy and you laughed with it. But when I got into resell, okay, I felt like I was doing something wrong by getting a good deal at estate sales and stuff like that. But, what would you say is like the biggest, I don't want to say scam, but what would you say is like the biggest grift you've done in the resell business? I could tell you one of mine, but, like as far as a deal you've made where, you might have paid pennies for it and scored thousands on someone.
I mean, I can think of the first week we ever opened the store. I had a lady pull up. Do you know what wrestling buddies are?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Little chunky stuffed animals of famous WWF wrestlers. And they're very cool, very, very expensive. And she had the entire line, all of them in the box, all the wrestling
Hogan,
buddies.
like Hogan, Legion. That era of Hogan.
It's Hulk Hogan. And I'll tell you everywhere. It's Hulk Hogan. It's Macho Man. It's $1 Million Man. It's the big boys, the most famous ones.
They were talking to you, huh?
Ultimate Warrior.
That money was talking to you.
The rare ones. Yeah, right. The Legion of Doom is the rare one.
Wow.
And she had them all, right? So so we're talking, I don't know, $1,200 worth of stuff. And she pulls up with a minivan and she opens the side door and she has them all like sort of set up facing outward towards me in like this big production. I think she's going to be like, I'll take 500. And she goes, you know what? I'm thinking I just want to get rid of them. What do you say? You know, $5 a piece, you know? and I remember getting them. I want to say it was 25, 30 bucks for all of them. And we really just pieced them out on eBay, you know, one at a time, and they went hard.
well.
You know, so that's not my biggest, but that's
Robbie.
That's just a fun one that comes to mind where I didn't even have to make her an offer. She was literally, sometimes just like, you know, interrogating a suspect, right? Let him talk. You know, I like to have this like sort of holier than thou attitude, or I like to like sort of use these like Jedi mind tricks. Like I call stuff like, this thing. I'll be like, what's this thing? Or like, I mean, like, what are you asking on this thingy? You know, and I'm like, and I'll pick up like a Nintendo Power Glove, and I'm like, yo, how much for the old electronics, man? You know, and you know, and if you can make them feel shitty about themselves, and then you're gonna make a better deal. You know what I mean? So that's my scumbag advice of the day.
Yeah, well, listen, it's funny you talk about the vintage wrestling because when I first got in, I went to a woman's house in Florida who was selling like Pokemon cards, and she ended up selling me some Disney stuff. And on the way out, I was just like, this woman has everything. What can I think of to ask her that she might have? And I liked wrestling as a kid. So I said, you know, do you have any wrestling figures? And her brother was in like his late 60s and had like some Parkinson's or some shit like that. And he was like shaking at the table. And, you know, so it was like a weird environment. But she's like, you know, in the basement, my brother has this old wrestling collection. And from the 80s to the 2010s, he collected like every figure, and they had like an inch of dust on them. And I did the same kind of thing you did. It was just like I used to sell used cars, so I just let her talk, like you said, you know. And she ended up giving it to me for like $1 each, and I think I parted them out for like $5,000. And ever since that time, I haven't gotten anything like that. But that's been what's made me want to chase, you know, for sure.
Yeah, I love toys. You know, I think that I was definitely early on with all this vintage stuff. We were one of the sort of forefathers of bringing toys into the mix and collectibles. So, you know, instead of this era that I came from in the early 2000s, a woman would come to me like, you're one of these shoe guys, or, oh, you have a bunch of toys, like the 40-year-old virgin or something.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, we were at least part of that sort of becoming cool, you know, for lack of a better word. So I went to a toy show here on Sunday in Arizona, and I'll tell you, there was a bunch of really attractive young women in sneakers and Louis Vuitton and Gucci bags walking around buying.
It's like a new club.
Buying anime toys but looking for, you know, oversized, like cool statues. And, you know, I think people are sort of realizing the artistic value of some of the collectibles, you know.
Even more than art. I mean, art shows suck half the time. At least when you go there, you can meet some cool people and have some fun. And if you're like me, you can make money. And that's what's cool about that business.
A thrift store does feel a lot more like an art gallery than an art gallery does, doesn't it?
Right. Because you're looking at stuff from history.
Stuff.
And I'm not big thrift guy either necessarily. And I don't want to say like, you know, it's obviously fun, but I'm just not, you know, that's not where I make my hay or has made my hay in the past. I'm a flea market swap meet guy, the outdoor experience, music, the shitty food, you know.
Like, that's what when I watch your show, that's what I was like, damn, there's none of that here in Florida. There's just, you know, old people in early mornings.
In Fort Lauderdale, bro.
There's a good one.
Swap and shop. And it's like super hood, and you're like cross over the freeway in like this like metal like encased like tunnel with dragon spray painted on it. It like used to be like an amusement park. It's sick. And,
wow, you got to when you come, you got to let me know, man. I'll definitely go with you. It's like a 3-hour drive. I'll take the trip. You know, I love shit like that.
I love Lauderdale.
Do you? Now, how did this Netflix thing come about? Like, were you filming the show on your own? Obviously you must have. Well, that's a one question, but I seen the show is streaming somewhere else now. So I want to promote the show. I want to promote anything that you want to, you know, promote anything you're working on. But how did the Netflix thing come about? Were you filming the show already, and then they wanted it?
No. It's funny. People always like, what do? You just email them, or is there like a submission? Like,
what are Mexican guys asking
you? And I'm like, no, you fucking moron! I didn't email them. Yeah, like, of course, I mean, I had the sort of traditional path of, like, I guess, quote unquote, discovered. So I had, the city of Tucson has a whole, team that they send out as liaisons to, like, commerce, right? Like Chamber of Commerce stuff, where they travel, and they went to like a reality TV convention, and people were like, well, we want to do something in the desert. We want to show Tucson. We want to show this part of the country that not a lot of people know about. And so they got like old ladies with tortillas, and we have some famous tattoo artists out here, and this, that, and the other. But what they really wanted to do was get into something that had to do more with like youth culture, right? And stuff the kids cared about, right? So I shot a pilot about me. I had a producer call me on the phone and ask me what's the craziest thing that ever happened, what's the craziest thing I ever sold, the kind of stuff we're talking about. And he's like, wow. And I'm like, yeah, man, this, we're living the rock star lifestyle. People just haven't caught on to this business yet, And so long story short, shot a pilot. Pilot got picked up by Complex. Apparently Complex came up to me at the Agenda fashion event in Vegas and gave me their business card and told me they wanted to do a TV show. And then I ripped the card up and threw it in the air, and a bunch of people laughed. And I don't remember that either. But somehow Complex was able. Yeah, do not recall that. But somehow we were basically throwing a big party in Vegas. So somehow Complex got a hold of my pilot and my agent and my producer, and we had a pre-existing, sort of mini product, right? An example, and then Complex Network greenlit a whole 12-episode season. And in 2017, we shot the season. It aired on Complex for a year until 2018.
Oh, shit. That's great.
And then on January 1st of 2019, on New Year's Day, I woke up to my own face being suggested to myself on Netflix. And I got to be honest, didn't know that was happening. They mentioned
that's like
the show might.
That's like an exclusive like drop right there. You did not
like
know.
Black Mirror, bro. Like, I woke up and I'm like, whoa, and I'm trending, and I'm talking 30K followers in the morning right when I woke up.
Wow.
Extra, and we were popping. Like, people like to say, "Oh, is it different?" I'm like, man, I've been a big deal since 8th grade. You know what I mean? And like, I've been had a following on Instagram, and I've been had a following online, and we've been the forefathers of this vintage stuff. But at the same time, it was refreshing, and it was nice to see a mainstream platform pick it up, and sort of, I guess they sort of bought the reruns, so to speak, and they owned the show. They owned the show for 2 years, and
well, that's how I seen it. So that's great. I mean, that's wonderful. Yep. Now, as far as that went, now where can people watch it now? Where can people go?
Nowhere.
Nowhere.
So I own the show. I legally got the name back. I was able to prove at times, without getting into the details, but I was able to prove that I created that name of that show,
Right.
And it's also obviously my stage name, and there was a lot of sort of legal implications. So I have it now, and we'll see if we'll see if we want to show it more. Or
have you ever thought about? Have you ever thought about touring or doing like appearances or Q&A
We've
stuff?
done that. Oh, bro, I've been doing that since 2018. So I was on tour with SneakerCon for many months. I did SneakerCon Shanghai, and we all went to China. Wow. I've done stuff with Complex Con in LA. I've done stuff with Toy Con and Comic Con. So appearances are really cool, and it's a cool way to meet people and get
it'd be cool to get your show. It'd be cool to get your show onto like a DVD. You could sell it like a digital download, and you could sell it at your events. Sure. Like so people can get copies of
100% what I'm basically thinking of at this point in time.
Sorry, man, I can't. You can't talk to Scumbag Vinny without me circulating some kind of plans or something. Lane will tell you.
My plans are close to your plans. Let's just say that. My
That's
plans
cool.
would align well with your plan.
That's great. That's great. Have you ever run across any cool BAM merchandise, like vintage BAM shit? Like, I don't know if I think I told you, I'm good friends with BAM. A lot of the people that listen to the show, we update them with news about BAM and stuff, and a lot of them are always asking me about boards and sweatshirts and old stuff from Element of his. Do you ever run into anything like that?
Sure, absolutely. You know, I like to be true, and I don't want to bullshit the consumer or the listener or anybody and pretend that like I was into Jackass and BAM and all this, but I was old enough that I was sort of older and I wasn't, into the merch, and I wasn't like in high school during that time so it wasn't for me, I was. I was selling blow and rocking polo sweatsuits. I wasn't gonna wear a fucking.
Well, let's talk about that then. Fuck the sweatshirts.
I wasn't gonna wear a him sweater,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Just for the record, I meant bubblegum.
It's all right. BAM's kind of anyway, so it's fine.
So
that's what he's basically trying to tell us, Lane. He's like, well, basically, I like to get laid in high school, so I didn't want to wear fucking,
I want stuff that looks cool, not flamboyant.
So it wasn't always my bag. Yeah. But I can tell you this: we've sold some vintage him stuff, and we've definitely had some tees come across. And definitely, I would say old Jackass stuff, from the show and the original movie is popping for sure. 100%.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I'm pretty sure BAM would dig you. You guys have this vibe about you that I don't know what it is, Lane, but with guys like Slobby Robby and guys like Artie Lang and BAM, and even though they're not in the same kind of genre, they all fit in the same kind of universe. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just speaking out of my ass.
Disheveled.
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 You do kind of have like a Tucson desert Santa Claus thing going on, like Santa just like giving up on the cold.
Yeah, I was at Walmart with my kid over the weekend. This older black dude security like, young Santa.
Say BAM and Artie, and this looks like you, Robbie, are definitely people where it's like I do walking down the street. I'm like, this guy is a crazy homeless person. And then you get in like a car better than I've ever afforded in my life immediately after that. And I'm just like, how does Artie Lang have a Lamborghini?
Well, depending on the outfit you catch Slobby in, I mean, he looks like $1 million sometimes. That's the other thing. He looks like a guy that just hit the lottery. That's what I think of when I look at Slobby Robby, because he's got like the clothes on that would make you think like, this guy where did he get all this shit? But why doesn't he have a shave yet? Like that's the thing that, it's like priorities kind of, but he's like a guy that just got that new money. I do want to talk a little bit about what you're working on. You told me you had some projects you're working on. Do you want to share anything? Is there anything you want?
Yeah.
What do you got going on?
So I have a new show called GCTV, which is Generation Cool TV, and it's on the Whatnot platform. Whatnot is a live selling app that's similar to eBay, or eBay meets Home Shopping Network, let's say, and it's really blowing up. And mark my words. Just knowing the history of live, selling in Asia and Korea and Japan and where this stuff is really, you're going to be hearing a lot about Whatnot, and it's going to be a really
I have heard a lot about, I have a good following on TikTok, but haven't been able to get approved because I'm just starting to mix the comedy world, the selling, so I think that'll take a bit of time, but yeah, definitely. Now, when is that show airing on Whatnot that they can check you out?
My first episode of GCTV is, a week from tomorrow, so St. Patrick's Day, March 17th.
There you go.
And we'll be going live from the shop, and it'll be selling based, but I don't see why we could bring in surprise celebrity guests live, and we could have people there in person. I mean, when this thing goes full blown, I could do a Whatnot from a flea market, or
I would absolutely love to get involved with that somehow. I mean, the best thing I think I can do is bring a bunch of 80s toys in a box and come hang out in Arizona and just sell them with you or something.
Come.
I'm just down to collaborate with you, Slobby, man. I kind of like your name more than me. Like, I wish I was Slobby Vinny, but I'm like, and you kind of maybe think scumbag Robbie might be
to go back.
Like, damn, I should have been Slobby Vinny. Is sick. Yeah, I want to be Slob Gang.
I had when the show first came out, I had a bunch of like older porn star ladies being like, "Love the name. I really think you could cross over." And I'm like, bro, and like. I had one like late night conversation with one where she was like something, and I was like, yeah, you have like really nice mom boobs, and you have like that mom sort of mom hair and mom vibe. And she was like, and then at the end, she's like, "Good night, son."
Oh,
at the end of after trying to convince me to be basically Ron Jeremy, she's like,
yeah,
"Good night, son."
literally. But you know, Slobby is such a funny porno name because you don't know if the guy's getting slobbed or is slobbing with that beard. It's like such a wild guess when the DVD first starts. Oh my god!
Man.
Oh, I love that.
More ideas.
I'm seeing now. Now the fans are only seeing an audio here, but I see a huge McDonald's M in the room behind you.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit, man! You're a McDonald's lover like me. You're a big fat boy, huh?
McDonald's from when I was a kid. The big golden arches from the McDonald's by my house from when I was a kid.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I would love to have you for a special event in Florida if we can work that out. Maybe some kind of Q&A event mixed with a comedy live show
at the local McDonald's.
At the local McDonald's, we can do it, and we'll set up tables outside with all kinds of Louis Vuitton merch. It'll just be the most scumbag Vinny event of all time.
Oh, I'm super down, bro.
Well, listen, man, I don't want to keep you all night. You said you were going out to dinner tonight, but I'm sure with the way that this interview went, you want to come back on the show down the road. And I enjoyed it. Lane, do you have anything you want to ask Sloppy before we let him hit the road?
I know to a lot of people, reselling is like reselling trends. Like you said, you were against the trend. So what do you think about like things like people selling Supreme and stuff like that? Do you consider that just a foolish like little kid hobby? Like there's no real value in those things to you, or is there a level of if you know what you're looking for, you can play that? Because a lot of people resell stuff, I think, just to wear Supreme gear.
Right.
You know.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot to it, but first and foremost, I'm not going to speak on how any other man like turns a buck. I don't.
Hell yeah, Slobby, get that money.
I don't mind. I think people should do whatever they want if they're not hurting people, of course. But and I think the Supreme sort of hype beast kid, sort of character, let's say, motif is kind of past anyway, and that's sort of that person is sort of like vintage sneaker bot kid now, like high-end $1,000 vintage tee sneaker bot kid. So again, who am I to tell someone how to make their money or how to spend their money for that matter? But me personally, I'm not in it. I guess I wouldn't. I guess at the end of the day, I wouldn't consider myself a reseller.
Right.
I'm in this business because I'm so into this stuff. I'm big into, and I'm big into people, and I really like meeting people. I
think how people would like categorize you as a reseller is we watch you to find out what we can make money on, and that's like how we to you in a little bit of a way as well. Like we watch what you sell and we're like, damn, maybe if we can find that shit, we can turn a buck ourselves, so.
Yeah. So I guess, that we're all in a way in 2022, we're all resellers in a way, my mom can get on eBay. My mom can list something,
exactly.
So there are people who have figured out that you can go to the dollar store every day, buy something, and then list it on eBay for $19.99, and some idiot who's too lazy to buy. Like,
that's a scam, Robbie. Now that's a scam worth talking about on the pod for another time.
That's real.
Yeah, it is. It is. I see that myself, but that's funny as fuck. All right, Rob. Well, I'm gonna let you go out and enjoy your dinner, man. Thank you so much for joining Scamming with Vinny. You are a legend. People, check him out at the events he's doing. He's going to be doing the Whatnot show with Generation Cool TV. You can check him out on social media. He will be promoting it, I guess, on your Instagram too, right? So people could find you on IG.
Absolutely.
And, yeah. Okay, great.
That's the future of what we do: reselling, vintage, collectibles, all of it. And I think it's a very positive community where everybody's cool, and I think that's a little breath of fresh air that we could all use right now. So check me out.
I'm excited to get that going for myself, and get out of the entertainment world, which sucks.
Is it
Yeah, no.
Slobby Robby on Instagram?
Oh yeah, Slobby Robby, Generation Cool. We got our sneaker store, Generation Cool Sneaks. We got it all, man.
We'll definitely put your links in our description on our YouTube channel, and I'll make sure I tell. The thing is, I'll talk about this for the next 10 years, so you'll be getting people slowly from me, you know, saying, "Hey, I liked your interview with Vinny," and I really appreciate you coming on the show, man. But thanks again, and we'll see you soon, Slobby Robby.
Okay, dudes, keep scamming.
Hell yeah, brother.
Sorry, I was on the radio.
I took him out of here.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was waiting to be like, you know, that guy Vinny's a faggot. I hope that doesn't air.
Piece of shit. One dude.
Nah, he's a chill dude, man. He's a real chill dude, and I appreciated him just chilling with us at an early point in the show. And you know, because I mean, I'm sure if he looked at my shit even on Instagram, there's no real like beneficial reason to do it other than I think he likes what I'm doing with, and then, you know, the whole BAM connection and everything like that. But
I mean, you know, I think people that are into scams can recognize a good scam when they see one. It's hard to pass up getting on the ground floor of a scam.
Because I mean, it's not like he even mentioned BAM at all. I just mean like in my mind, I always correlate it to that. But at the end of the day, he might have just liked the whole scamming thing. You know, the whole scamming at like, oh, cool, I'll go on a scamming podcast. You know, especially because, like I said, reselling is like you're literally, you know, like you're on a line of, is this even scamming itself, you know?
Right. And when you're making all your money like reselling like that, it's like he's at work all the time. Like when you see him on a podcast or on his TV show, like it's kind of, you know, I'm sure he's leaning more into the character and he's having a bit more fun with it. But it's like on an average day, him reselling stuff is him working. That's how he pays his bills. You know what I mean? So when he gets to kind of, he probably enjoys going on like podcasts and stuff. I'm saying, he gets break from working and talk about work, which I guess people who doesn't like to talk about work, right?
Well, I think right now too, he's at an interesting point where, you know, I think he's in the middle. He truly is somebody that I can benefit from working with. Like, you know, I talked about it with him and he seemed pretty interested, but what I mean by that is he has a following, he's motivated to work, and right now he has a little bit of, I want to say, a vendetta because Netflix, like you said, you know, Complex aired it. Netflix picked up the reruns. They dropped it. Now he owns it, but doesn't know what to do with it. And I feel like that just opens up opportunity for money to be made. And he has mentioned traveling around, but, you know, we didn't really get into like what he's made off of the show and what he's made at these events.
It might sound over the top and silly if to someone not paying attention, the idea of like, oh, well, let's do like a comedy reselling thing. But to me, that sounds like such a good idea.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how it would be some sort of traveling sideshow thing.
Well, what he's doing with Whatnot really is probably the future of how it would be done on the internet, because you can auction at the same time. But how I figured it is, it would just be a live entertainment. Like if he came to Florida and we did an event and I flew you here and we did an event, basically it would be a stand-up comedy show. At the end, we'd bring out Slobby Robby and do a Q&A with him and the fans, a meet and greet after. And then when there's merchandise tables with my shirts on them and stuff, we'll just have a bunch of his vintage stuff out that he wants to sell or that we want to sell. And, you know, people might be into buying it there if they're into that scene, you know, and that to me would be how you kind of integrate him, and also selling his show. And that's what I was trying to explain to him. Like, if you own the show and it's not airing anywhere right now, your best bet is to try to, you know, either sell it exclusively on, you could sell it exclusively on Patreon as well, you know, and, you know, or some other platform like that. And then he could also sell hard, or just do strictly hard copies, because even people like collectors like to have the DVDs with the digital download. They may not use the DVDs anymore, but they like to have the visual of it on a shelf.
I think the best thing to do is to always just make it publicly available on YouTube if you own the content.
Right.
And then just put ads on it. There really is no better way, because sure, you could make more money per view, right? But you're not going to get more people to watch than you're going to on YouTube. You're
right. That's true. And I think if he were to do that, you know, we could even explore the opportunity of doing new episodes on Patreon or doing new things on
Red,
Patreon.
bro.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. There you go. You know, so if he's still listening after he hears this come out, that, you know, listen, we're not, you know, anybody on Wall Street here, but hey, if you look me up, I've done some things, you know, and basically, you know, what's funny is I was asking him how he sources, because as an Italian, if I find a good source, I basically tell the people like, all your toys are coming to me from now on. You understand? You know, like that's pretty much how I do it. So it's just
every wrestling figurine that comes through these doors comes to me first.
Dude, yes, it does work that way. I have one woman that constantly hunts for those things for me, but they move fast. So listen, we're trying to turn $1 into $2, right? That's it. Turn 15 cents into $1. Anyway, so maybe not the type of thing we're going to be doing on the show every week, interviewing people, but again, it was a random thing that I posted a friend of mine on my Instagram, and Slobby ended up commenting on it when a fan tagged him. So I thought it was a cool opportunity to bring him on the show and just chat with him a little bit, especially since he really hasn't done many of these things. You know, he's only done a couple.
He was a cool guy, and I really like the thing he's talking about, how for him, he likes the vibe. Like, he's not even necessarily a fan of the shit that he's selling.
Right.
Like, he likes walking around and eating a corn dog at the flea market. Like, that's what he's into, and I'm kind of down with that. And I think that if you were to take that on the road, what you would do is you would go to these towns, set up a comedy show, and create the vibe of, like I said, like a road show or like a flea market. Like, this is what it'd be like. You have food, you know, catering set up. Bam could be, you know, kicking people in the nuts. There's a lot of things you could be doing.
Yeah, as long as I just have a bunch of like circus acts going on, I could run like a Vinny's Freak Show kind of thing. As far as reselling goes, that is the only type of show like that's been on Netflix to my knowledge, you know, besides like American Pickers or some bullshit like that, you know, like the only one that, you know, you'd watch it and be like, damn, and he covers the vintage world, which there is a huge audience for that. Well, there would always be an extra $100 to $200 left over and stuff that they just couldn't spend. There's nothing left. How many phone cases do you fucking need? You know what I mean? So I would, at that point, just start ringing up accessories until I got to the 300, and I would just stack the accessories in the back of the fucking store, and they're all paid for, you know? And at the end of the day, I would just throw them in my car and leave with them. And I don't know why I was doing it or what I was going to do with this stuff, but I ended up getting smart, and I would get, you know, Bluetooth speakers and Bluetooth devices and all this kind of shit. And I would just sell it. And that was just one hustle that I had that I did when I was at work.
Reselling all the free swag from your phone job.
Yeah, for my phone job. And you know what else? I mean, they would pay me so much money to sell the TV service. At one point, you would get awards every month for your sales accomplishments. And because I was doing this, the heads from the cell phone company, like in the corporate, came to my little store he's like, I have to see how this kid does this. And this guy, you know, my uncle used to own a lot of these cell phone stores. So we were now corporately owned, and my uncle's no longer in the business, but I had been doing comedy at the same time. I didn't really give a shit if I got fired or not. So when the guy came into my store and was like asking me how I do it, I simply showed him. I didn't show him that I was stealing those accessories afterwards, but I showed him what I would do to convince people to switch over and how I would set up the glitch in the system to get them their free items. And I was also making a commission on the free items, which they would pay me on the back end. Well, this guy actually thought it was funny, and to this day still follows me on Facebook and laughs at all the scumbag scam stuff. I ended up getting how I left the cell phone company was after I think I did 50 people in 1 month signing up for this TV service. They paid me like a $5,000 check. They custom made this championship WWE belt to give me at this conference.
How did they know you wanted that?
They didn't know. It was like I was fucking so thrilled. Listen though, so they had 16 framed awards for sales numbers that I had crushed and set records that literally still stand to this day nationally. And it was like this big thing. I was supposed to go and speak in front of everybody, and they even offered me a job of $125,000 a year to drive around in like 5 different states in the Northeast and teach people how to do this. It fucking blew up, man. And literally before I was going to go in and make the speech and accept the awards, literally a stack of 16 frames, the belt, my boss, who was the biggest piece of shit in the world, like he was like a scumbag, like in a different kind of way. Like his name was Arthur. And I say his name because he was like just the lowest form of dirt in the world.
You just couldn't trust him.
couldn't trust him for nothing. Like he'd come in and just be like, you know, if it was just you, he'd start talking to you about like fucking midgets or something. Like, and you're at work and like, you know, it's your boss. Like you don't want to talk about fucking midgets, but at the same time, like you don't want him to think he's weird for talking about it. It was just so awkward and strange. And I just remember him coming up to me and being like, yeah, Vinny, now you're at my level. Like we're going to kick ass. Like almost like I went from being his employee to his like equal. And he's like in his 50s and just this weird dude who likes fucking midgets and stuff. And he drives like a shitty car.
And he just was like, Vinny, you're one of us now. You're going to come fuck midgets with us, right?
So,
That's
dude,
now.
I just at that moment was like, I'm out of here. Yo, I told him, I was like, hey, man, I'm going to go outside and make a phone call. He sent something. He's like, you're not quitting right now, are you? I'm like, yo, man, I'm just gonna go out to my car real quick. And I walked outside. I called my wife and I was like, listen, I've been chasing this comedy thing for a while. I was like, let me go for it full time. I told her the job they offered me. I told her that I would have to travel anyway and we would make a lot less money, but it would be kind of putting our faith into something I love rather than something I hate. And I didn't want to turn out like this midget fucker. And so, you know, she let me do it. And I ended up, leaving that job. And it was at the height of my like career there. But dude, I had worked at, as a car salesman, anywhere I worked, I exceeded my sales expectations. And I just never wanted to end up being the guy still working there in 25 years, so I would just leave the jobs all the time.
That's how I felt at pretty much every job I've ever had. It seems like it'd be cool, but you work at any job for 2 or 3 years and you're like, oh, I'm either going to be this guy forever or I'm going to become like the CEO of the company. Those are the only two real paths. There is no, well, I'm gonna keep moving up to a level where I'm more than mildly comfortable. It's like, no, you're not gonna ever do that unless you actually take over the companies. Those are the only people that make the type of money that you want. Like everyone who's like, oh, just settle down and get a regular job and work for promotions. It's like if you add in inflation and everything that goes on in the world, you know what I mean? By the time you're making, 100K a year, you're going to need 200K a year. So it's I need 100K a year right now. I don't need the promise of I can get 100K.
I can earn
eventually if I suck up enough and don't.
Yeah, because by the time you're halfway there, they fire you for doing something, mildly stupid. But anyways, Lane, that was a kick-ass episode, man. We are going to wrap it up for this week. I just wanted to let all the listeners know that we truly appreciate you guys. We exceeded 300 subscribers on YouTube this week. On my channel alone, we've exceeded over 1,000 views for the 4 episodes, 2.5 really, which I think is pretty kick-ass. Seeing as I'm not trying to oversaturate promotion like I usually do, or force the issue. Lane, also, your channel, we've gotten a ton of views, man. We've hit over 1,500 views. Nobody really cares about any of the Justin Silva stuff we talk about, so we're probably not going to talk about him ever again.
Right. I like to see what hits, and if you look at my YouTube channel, the Ian Ellis LLC, there's that guy Sayans Entertainment that we were talking about a long time ago. He's like going through a resurgence right now where he's getting sued by Brendan Schwab.
Schwab. Yeah, I seen that on your channel today, and I was like, damn. I'm like, that is something cool that we should probably cover. Maybe in the bonus episode, we'll cover it a little bit.
I'm wondering if Ian Ellis wants to come on next week. I think if you don't have anyone else scheduled, I think he'd be a good guy to talk about it with.
Yeah, that'd be great. I would love to do that. And I've been meaning to have him on. And if you guys want to check out Lane on With Apologies every single Sunday on the Ian Ellis LLC YouTube channel, you guys can go and check that out. And they usually start airing about 8 p.m. Eastern time or somewhere around there.
8 p.m. Eastern. And just to end my point off, Vinny, with Justin Silva, you never know. Maybe one day, he'll be getting sued by Howie Mandel or something. Like anything could happen.
Yeah, for sure. Well, till next time, folks, we will keep scamming as Slobby Robby told us. Please follow me on Instagram at Vinny Beedle, at Scumbag Vinny Beedle. Follow me on TikTok at Scumbag Vinny. I will be putting up content there going forward. We have 75,000 followers on there, so I'm hoping to start putting out some visuals on there. And me and Lane have talked about incorporating some visuals down the road with the show. Long as you folks keep supporting, subscribe, like, comment on YouTube, support Lane and his other show. That show is great. They talk about me often. They talk about the show. They post clips of our show on that channel. So we're really like a brother kind of channel when it comes to promoting each other's show. Also, we will be dropping some merchandise by the end of next month. once we hit 10, 20 episodes, we want to drop some fun merchandise for the people that have supported me for so long, and you'll be able to get that on my website. Now, Lane, we will be diving right into this bonus episode.